that.
No, it's all in good fun, man. You know, it's all fun.
Oh no, you're a good sport.
All right, are we ready?
I'm ready when you guys. Yeah, I'm ready to go when you guys are.
Let's do it.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, and we're back for another Quantum Kirk. Okay, so I'm going to put out the dates of when we're recording this because we're doing the producer search Quantum Kirks. We've released Montante's episode. I don't know when Adolf Menners is going to release the Andrew Augustus episode. It was only recorded last week. Danny, he's up our ass that we don't record enough. And now he's sitting on an episode for what, 4 days now, I want to say?
And wait for this, Dave. We're doing 2 today. I mean,
yeah, we're doing 2 today. So, I mean, I don't know when these are going to see the light of day. I don't know when Menners, he might release them 3 weeks after the producer search is over. I don't know, whatever he wants to do. But we are welcoming Mick on as a producer search guest for Quantum Kirk. We were recording this on Tuesday. Mick, when are you going into studio?
I will be there on Thursday. And first of all, thanks for having me, guys. Big fan of the show. I think this is a great idea for a show for the network. So I've been a big fan since the beginning. I've listened to, I think, every single one. The Montante one, I don't think I've listened to. Did you say you released that yet or not?
Yeah, that came out. We're not. Friday night. We're not getting Friday night. We're not getting. That was lost in the shuffle of Mike and the Minifans of Augustus episode Friday. There was a lot of content released. Robbie V show. There's a lot of content released over the weekend, so I get it. No big deal. And honestly, if we're being honest, not getting a lot of great reviews on the sound of that episode. Not to bury Montante, but
do you think it was the producer, Daver?
No.
So listen, Menners has not been kind, so I don't know how much he's promoted that episode. I don't think he was a big fan of it, so it is what it is. But we're throwing him out there, and if the people like him, the people like him. But anyway,
if I could,
go ahead, Danny.
Full credit to you. He's too humble and modest to say this, but this was all Daver's idea. A, the show, and B, having all the producers on. And I think it's been a lot of fun getting to meet you guys and getting to know you a little bit more. So, I think great idea by him. And the fact that you guys can actually come on and produce, and we can actually get a little bit of a feel for
it works out, right?
As well. So Mick's running the show today. So
I got a bunch of clips teed up. We got a good episode for you. When Daver asked me which one I wanted to do, this right away. I remember this rant that Kirk does, which we'll play later on in the episode. This episode's full of some amazing angry Kirk Minahan moments.
Yeah, so that's what we're getting into. I digress. And if people are wondering why John hasn't done an episode, well, John's the normal producer of this show. So me and Danny didn't feel it'd be like kind of dumb to have John do his show when he's done like the first 5. So that's why we haven't done one with John. And then Will's in there today. I don't think that's a real candidate. So, but if Will wants to hop on afterwards, we'll reach out and we'll do one with you as well, too. But Danny, we start off every episode. Can you please give us the date and the name of the episode for the people who want to go back and re-listen as well, please?
Absolutely, Dave. So this would be November 20th, 2020. And the title is Nardini Slanders Minahan.
Okay, a shit title for this episode. Okay, Completely. Big Steve, I love you. All right, and we got some great Steve drops in here, Danny. I know that you're Danny always comments and Mick, if you do get the job, we want the drops back. Me and Danny say this every episode on Quantum Kirk. You can tell the difference in the Steve versus Cullinane era just by the drops. So we want drops back if you get the job. And but a shit name for an episode because this episode is all about how much Kirk Minahan hates his fucking fans, hates the YouTube network, hates the OG Minifans. I mean, he's just full of hate this episode. Mick, this is your pick. I kind of see through, Mickey, what you're doing here, why you might have picked this episode. There's some names in here that he really gets on that could possibly be in studio this week. Maybe fighting for the job with you, Mick, maybe. But hey, listen. It's all fun and love and war, and I applaud you for going for it. Is there a clip you want to play, or do you want to set up why you like this episode so much?
I'll tell you just why I like. I mean, I like the episode because it's just this is the exact episode where there's no other show like it. You have a host that has accomplished so much, even at this time. This is years ago, but even at this time, it accomplished so much and is still getting upset at something that BA would say on a YouTube show that nobody's listening to. And it's just the passion. You're like, what? Why does this guy care about this crap? But like, that's why he cares so much about the show. Like you can't fake it. It's really what I'm trying to say. I'll set that clip up. This is one of the first ones I want to play. It's basically why he's mad at the Mincel guys. And it kind of gives some context to what we're talking about here.
Yep.
I have no issue with her. But it's like, and they're like, oh, we all quit. We all stay in solidarity. Where did you crawl back on? You crawl back on your knees to this YouTube channel? You fucking pussies.
Yeah, see, I think
have any conviction?
If they had asked me, I probably would have let him come back on just to show how much principle
pathetic they are. Groveling to come back on the YouTube show. No one's gonna fucking watch anyway because it sucks. Except for me because I'm an idiot. And I watch this fucking thing and I'm like, first of all, it's total gibberish. Like, I mean, I don't even know why I care about the opinions of these idiots. Other than the fact that if you're on the YouTube channel, I feel like the one rule I've said all along is that you listen to the fucking show.
And that is where he kind of gets going here, because there's some people that were having some thoughts of, on his, and we're kind of down on Kirk and KMS in general. And it didn't sound like they were listening to the show. And that's when he just goes ballistic later on. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. And let's give some more context to this. We're in the era of Mike is fencing at the moment. Okay. Mike has gone fencing. He's left the show for his mental health break. He's at the blind school. Tim and Canton, Steve from Providence are fucking stalking him at the blind school, trying to get pictures of him fencing.
Doing drive-bys, yeah.
Doing drive-bys, they've alluded to it. If anyone remembers that era, they were doing, Tim and Canton would always be alluding to it, deep cuts. So it's just Steve and Kirk. And I think what the Mincel boys, and I would say some of the hardcore fans were missing was the fun that Mike would bring. Like, you actually did notice with Mike being gone, this era, it was the shows were shorter, okay? They weren't having the fun banter. Steve was a serious dude. They didn't really get into, like, fun topics a lot. They missed a punching bag. Let's just be real. They missed the third guy being, like, the punching bag in there. And a lot of the newer fans, the Mincels, as they called themselves at the time, goddamn retards, were criticizing the show because of that. Is that fair to say, Danny and Mick?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty spot on assessment, Daver. Because you will know Mike comes back pretty soon after this. So this
Monday.
Yeah,
it's Monday. He announces that Mike will be coming back on Monday's show. This is a Friday show.
So I think you're right. They were missing the punching bag and just missing, like, the lightness that Mike brings to the show. Now, I will say at this point, Steve has fully blossomed. He's got a sense of humor. He's Johnny on the spot with the drops. So there's still some lightness to it and some laughing and messing around here and there. But this is one of those shows, and we alluded to it, I think, last week, Dave and Mick. This is one of the ones where I got a little concerned because it's a quick episode. This is back when it was. So you'll notice, and you may get to this later, Dave, but they do announce the first Sacco show because now at this point, the Wilbur's been postponed to September 2020, so still almost 2 years before it actually happened.
And before it happened, we don't get it until August of 21, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, July of 2022 was last year, so it's still.
It's 22. Jesus,
they're still almost 2 years away. So anyway, but they actually start this show on YouTube to announce Sacco, and then you hear Kirk 10 minutes in say, "Well, oh, sorry, is this the right one?"
No, wrong one.
Oh,
I think that's a different one.
Different one.
My small brain trying to do 2 episodes today. I'm totally fucking it up. All right.
Yeah.
So scratch that. Back to my original point. David loves this. So basically, when you first look at the episode and you see 50 minutes, it's like, oh shit, oh no. And of course, when Kurt starts just going off, you get a little concerned. It's like, all right, are we going to be okay here? Is this show going to keep going? There was a little bit of that tumultuousness going on.
Right. And I listened to some of, like, there's a clip that I'll play right now, and it's John, and I think it's John from Scranton MBA. And honestly, like, the criticism that they're giving isn't like the harshest criticism. They're basically just saying they miss Mike. Yeah, I'll play it right now, and you guys can tell for yourself. But the way Kirk reacts is it's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning.
Let's dive back into the show a little bit. You've been off on this show, BA. Like, you told me you just want to be listening to the rewind because it's not even. You just don't.
I can't do the calls. I can't do the calls either. No, I can't. I can't do the whole show altogether. Like, I can't do the calls. Like, people have been the amount of people that have been reaching out to me, being like, "This show sucks," all this stuff. And I don't think it sucks too bad. But like, Steve and Mike Steve and Kirk need the mic. They need the mic. They need the mic. The reason why I started listening to the show.
Anyway, so maybe he keeps saying the show sucks over and over. That's fine. He likes Mike. That's fine. I like Mike. I'm looking forward to Mike being back. But
I mean,
so Danny, I think you are confusing it. So we're going to run it back here a little bit. This is when they just, no, it's okay. This is when they just started taking phone calls though. Okay. So you can hear, I think what's happening is, and I don't know if you have the Steve from Providence clip, Mick. If not, I'll explain what it is later. what he says is that he plays Steve from Providence, he plays Tim and Canton, the OG show. Steve plays that, and they're criticizing that the amount of hours the show used to be 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
Kirk built this world. Now we're doing hour and a half shows. Half of it is phone calls, blah, blah, blah. They're criticizing that. So a lot of the sector, it's so weird how now we're used to phone calls and it's just such a part of the show.
Mhm.
But back then it was like, oh, what the fuck, man? These, this is before good callers started calling in, and you had your regulars, your Trumps and people like that, Blind Mike's daddy, Sopranos guy,
Drunk
Greg Hill, drunk Greg Hill. So that era of calls. So this is at the beginning, and people are like, what the fuck is this? The calls are ruining the show. I remember that being a big debate in the KMS.
Right. And that was especially when Mike was gone at the time. Like that was like, I feel like they were relying on those calls even more during those shows. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it felt like, at least.
No, I think you're spot on with that, Mick. And I think that's what the hardcore people were starting to criticize. Now, let's bring it back to where Kirk the other day. This is where I like to say time is a flat circle, Danny. Kirk the other day with Augustus, when Augustus was trying to break down, what did Beanbag Ron and and McFuss Daddy, and then Kirk lost his mind because he's like, all of the hundreds of thousands of download, 99% of these people listening to my show don't know who those fucking people are on the YouTube network. So by Kirk's own admission, this whole episode, all he does is trash the YouTube network, and it's like, I bet you 90% of the people listening at this time have no fucking clue.
So
like
true.
who Kirk was talking about. Like the average Minifan at this point is like, what is a BA? What is a fucking John from Scranton? What is he talking about? Right, Danny? I mean, am I missing the boat there?
Absolutely. And look, I've always been a fan of Minsel until I like all those guys. I would pop on and stream with them once in a while, just as sort of a very tertiary character, or not even a character, just I'd be a fly on the wall. But that's back when, you'll see a few more views now when they go live on GVE or whatever. But that's back when there were more people on the show than there were watching. So it just their shows. So it's just right. It was very, for those of us that know those guys and interacted with them, like it was kind of fun to hear them brought up on the show.
Oh yeah, no, I remember being like, oh shit, he's talking about BA. Like, holy fuck.
And what was really funny, Kirk got really deep because he's like, I'm the fucking idiot that watches this. Like he's the only one who's not on the stream, who's actually sitting and watching. The fact that they quit in solidarity because of Will getting fired and just start doing the show again. The fact that got brought up on the main show, like, it's like there were like 12 of us that knew about this. Like, if you're
Danny,
just a casual listener, you have no idea what's going on.
Until you just said that, Danny, I didn't know what he was talking about coming back to the network. I didn't know that they had quit. I didn't know it. You just explained to me about 20 minutes of this episode that I did that went right over my head.
That's crazy because Will was tight with those guys. I think still is. He's selling life insurance now, I hear. So hope he's doing well. But it's just a ridiculous chapter. Like one of those things, like we're quitting this network that 5 people watch solidarity.
Yeah. And now look at him.
Picked up on it and starts shoving it into the main show. It's like, what is going on?
Danny,
Worlds colliding.
And now look at him. BA's like the staple of the YouTube network. Hosts the biggest show. Hosts the biggest show on the network. And then John is going in for is kimping out of control right now, going into to try to be the producer. It's hilarious. Crazy. Yeah, these guys.
And cherry on top of all these, ridiculous people, and including ourselves in this, Justin gets fired again on this episode.
Oh yeah,
Justin's fired. Yeah. He's cleaning his basement, which I think was an excuse that like Bob Holer used when Kirk called him. Like it's almost like, and with Justin, it's hard to tell. Like, was he joking? Was he serious? He's probably serious, but he's so deadpan all the time, it's hard to tell. So Justin gets fired. It's the same fucking names that get brought up, and I know we say this time and time again. Dave, you just brought it up. We're talking about the same people, which I kind of love. It's just one big dysfunctional family.
But let me jump in here, and then Mick, I'll let you go. But the one thing I'll say though is that I hate to do this to my guys because they're my guys. I like John from Scranton. I love BA. They're my guys. To see them though, where they just clout chasing all the time. Kirk uses the term clout chasing. Kirk actually uses the term in this episode. And I love those guys, because they used to dog people that were kimps. Like BA would literally be like, oh, stop kimping. And I think he came up with that fucking term. And to see them turn now and, be like the biggest kimps, walking the face of the earth right now at this point, they're on Danny's level. They're above me in the kimp sphere right now. like, was Kirk right? Like, Danny, this is the Kirk was right moment. When they just clout chasing the whole time? Mick, Danny, Mick, I'll let you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know,
yeah.
I don't know if they were like clout chasing, but I do think that there was a like they wanted their voices heard. And they wanted they wanted it brought up on the main show. I don't think that was something that they would hide from. But I also think that they missed Mike. I don't think BA was lying in that clip. I think he's a big fan of Mike and missed him on the show.
Yeah. Look at Mick.
Yeah, no doubt.
See, I thought Mick was going to come in here and start trashing.
I'm not going to sue him. I'm not going to sue him.
Mick, I laid up a softball for you, and you fucking and you did a bunch
show. He hates the show. I'll say it. He hates the show.
All right, Danny, your thoughts on that statement at all? Like, do you?
Well, I think so. One thing John brought up last week before he officially applied for the producers race was, and John's gotten pretty talented, I think, at the tech side of things over the years. And he said specifically he started learning the stuff because of Kirk. So these guys would get on. I mean, for a while, it was every night. You had Meeting of the Minds. You had John.
I mean, you're right. This is the height of the pandemic. This is the height of everyone not having nothing to do. I agree. I remember this.
So
yes.
it was fun. It was always some entertainment too, and those guys just wanted to get on. It was a hang, guys talking to each other, having a few pops. Just interacting. And John, this is how John got his reps in, sort of learning some of the technology side of things. So, this was a little bit of preparation for what we're seeing now between their on-air practice and those guys, practicing producing too.
This was also the height, I feel like, of the doxing era, or at least the threatening of the doxing.
You took the words out of my mouth, Mick.
That's that's one of the clips I want to play next. I mean, that's just, I kind of forgot how serious this got for a little while. This got like people, people were actually scared of like what was going to happen to them if their name was brought up on the show.
All right, so crazy. Mick, play the clip. That is a beautiful segue. I was just about to do that. Go right ahead, my friend.
Stop saying your fucking names, you pussies. Enough of protecting you pussies. The Andy Mayos and this Phil guy and these. What's your fucking name? Where do you live? Where do you work? If you're so fucking, if you're afraid, you go after me. I'm gonna go after you. I'll find out what your name is and I'll put it on fucking Twitter. I'll put your address on there. No problem, right? Why not? Who's BA? Right? I mean, why not?
I don't think BA has anything to worry about because he's safe up in Canada.
Sure, but I mean, these guys, and then once you say, don't dox us. Well, why not? Yeah. Why not? If you want to be a public,
they like to hurl shit behind.
If you want to be a public and vocal critic of the show, I welcome it. My name is Kirk Minahan. I live in Lexington, Massachusetts. What is your name?
It's just like, what is going on?
So Mick, great clip. And when I first started listening to this episode, Mick, I was like, did Mick pick Doxapalooza? Because that would be the one I don't think BA would talk to us anymore. Like, I honestly don't think
one. I didn't do that one. That one.
That's where you're right. But I'm saying I was here at the beginning of it, and I'm like, I'm hearing him threaten a dox, and I'm like, oh shit, like, and you're right. After this, it got bad. Like, it got bad with like names were set on here, address, where they work. People walked away from the world for a while. Steve admits, I don't know if you guys caught this line, to having a big long file of people's real names.
Yeah. He had a big email list.
Yeah. So for the BAs and stuff that didn't like Steve, like he kind of throws out there, like, I know who you guys are.
Steve was ready at the drop of a hat. Steve
would have said their names right there on the air, like, But yeah, so it did get nasty for a while. I don't believe in doxing, like, per se. I also don't believe you should be able to be an absolute shithead behind a keyboard. I don't think those guys reach this level, though, just by criticizing the show. So I think this would have been like an extreme case of doxing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was more of the fact that Kirk's so open about everything on the show. And I feel like he was like, if we're going to be open and we're going to tell, if we're just going to straight shoot here on the show, then why are you guys allowed to hide behind these fake names? Everybody else here comes and uses the real name. Mike Geary's on the show, like Steve Robinson. It's not like we're using these fake Twitter accounts on the show. Like, why can't you guys be a real? But I do understand, like, if you are somewhat of a troll and you're doing good fun, I still think there's a place for like a parody account. I think it's fun.
I agree too. But I also think once you cross over into actually doing content, you are now also open game for criticism. True. Like that's just the way it is. If you put your face up on a YouTube channel or you put your voice out on a YouTube channel and you start doing shows and people then make fun of you, that's just the way it is. Like, I mean, first few times I did this, I was in my bedroom. Sneakers will still like, oh, Daver, fat ass, get out of bed. Like, and it's like, that's just, you got to be, if you do this, like, you got to be willing to take some shit. Right, Danny?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all three of us are pretty good with that because we know we all get shit on a lot. probably especially Mick right now, just because of the
I get it.
virtue of
No,
your,
it's all good. Nobody gives me any
your
trouble
downline.
here in the Miniverse. No, it's all
No,
positivity.
not at all. Not at all. But Mick, and I think you got credit on the main show last week for this. I mean, you've put up with probably more blowback than anybody, and I think
Listen, Mick's rising. Mick's rising. If we're gonna do it, Mick's rising. Yeah,
I appreciate
you've powered through. I think there were people, not myself, of course, but thought
I was one.
that you just might quit after like just too much getting shit on. But I think the more you hang in there and take the shit and give it back and have some fun with it, I think in the end, that's all people want. I mean,
yeah,
we'll get into more of this in other episodes, but just play along, play the game, have some fun with it, and then when things go too far, if you start bringing kids and jobs and shit like that into it, then that just goes beyond the fun. And that's where I think, I hate to say it, but doxing maybe has its place, because it's like, you got to have some checks and balances if somebody's just going absolutely nuts. But I think most people are, decent people that just want to have a good time.
I would say
and
so.
I think
There's what you call yourself, as long as it stays at that level.
I think Kirk,
this is a podcast. There should be no reason people are like,
and I think Kirk has alluded to it lately that he doesn't let that shit bother him as much anymore.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. We haven't had a break in a while. Like, we haven't had any breaks. Mike hasn't left the show. Kirk hasn't left the show. There was a point in time, Danny, where I agree with you, man. Like, you see these short episodes and you'd be like, oh man, is he going away for a while? Is Mike going away for a while? It's like, and I just haven't felt that sort of like tension level around the show in a while. And Kirk alluded to it that about a year ago, I think he alluded to it recently, about a year ago, he just decided, or just got better at, with not letting stuff like that, get to him the way it used to get to him.
Which is a good thing, because as much as Kirk is entertaining when he's in this mood, again, it scares me a little bit. I'm like, it's cutting down that shelf life.
Can we play the clip? Can we play the clip? This clip, actually, re-listening today did scare me. I went, holy shit, man! Like, this is like, it's fun, it's entertaining, but oh man, this is not healthy. Go ahead. I think. Yeah.
You talking about the rant? Yeah, this is his. I think this is his Mona Lisa of all rants. This is something.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
Stop! You get a show every day. You are owed nothing. Nothing. I owe you shit. You guys get a fucking show every single fucking day. Every fucking day. Every single fucking day. I hate them. I hate you. I fucking hate you all. And I'm fucking sitting here doing a show every single. I was in Florence, fucking Massachusetts for 2 days in the middle of nowhere, doing a show in a tent to raise money. Now, give Steve credit. He walked 90 miles. Well, allegedly walked 90 miles for it. I don't think he did, but that's fine. I was there for 2 days raising money for this thing. 2 days in Florence, Massachusetts, up in Saco, drive-in movie theaters. Talking about doing more live shows next year.
In the middle of a pandemic.
In the middle of a pandemic. In the middle of a pandemic. We did the 5K. Oh, you fucking, you stole money from the pizza fund. Oh, Mancock fucking went gambling one night. Like, you fucking cunts. You are all cunts. Cunts, 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 cunts. You fucking cunt bags. I hate you all. Fuck you all. Unsubscribe. Kill yourselves.
That sounds healthy, right?
That sounds super healthy. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like he's in a real good place and things are going to go really, really well for him. Yeah, that's what that sounds like.
What a rant. What a rant.
How he goes from unsubscribe to kill yourself like they're the same level. Make sure you unsubscribe before you go hang yourself, please.
Yeah. I mean, the cunt thing. Like, I stopped waving my arms after 3 or 4, and I think he hit like 8 or 9 of them.
Oh my God. I could just, I mean, being in that studio just a couple times, I'm not some veteran or anything, but I cannot imagine just even keeping a straight face. I might run away. Yeah. I don't even know what I would do. I'd be like, this guy's losing now.
So that's where Steve doesn't get enough credit, I think, from everyone. He's never, I don't think, flipped out on Dave like that. He's definitely mellowed out the last couple of years. Put it this way, the stuff Augustus was doing the other day, if that was like Steve, I mean, I don't think he would have made it out of the studio alive. I honestly don't think he would have made it out of the studio alive. Like, we talk about now, like, kid gloves. Well, you guys, like, he says he's going to be harder. No way. Steve, I think, got the worst of, like, the Kirk Minahan, like, fucking pound the producers. There's no way anyone's ever going to get it worse than Steve. I just
At
don't
least-
believe it. I don't think he has it in him anymore. I don't think he has it in him anymore.
I think you're right, and I also think part of it was to do with like the stress of building a show that's new. Like I know like right now it's an established show, and obviously he works his ass off at it and he puts in a ton of time. But I imagine in the very beginning when you're trying to build the show and you're trying to grow it, and you're almost still trying to prove to everybody else like, hey, I don't need EEI, I don't need this platform. Yep. That's where the stress comes in. And I can imagine when Steve has, he doesn't cut up the Red Sox sound, for example, like that to him he's gonna lose it. He's gonna lose his goddamn mind. It's like we're trying to build something here, man. Like what are you doing? I could see where that kind of anger would come from.
And I also think, Mick, at this point, right, he's still angry Kirk, right? He's still really angry Kirk. He's angry about Murchison. He's angry about what happened to him. Like he's really, I think at this point now, I'm saying now in the show, he knows what this show is. He's a lot looser. I just think at this point he was still full of fucking like rage and things set him off and he wasn't able to deal with it. Like the other night when he meditated, when he thought about running and the shoes hitting the sand. And he talked about that. Like, I think he has tools in his toolbox now to just calm himself down.
That's a good thing though, right? That's a good thing.
It's a good thing for his mental health. Yes, I agreed.
Right.
And selfishly, it's a good thing for us, but he's obviously reached another level of mindfulness. I don't know if it's, working with his therapist or just generally getting older and more mellow. But you're absolutely right, Dave. And there were a few times in the last couple of weeks where things have not gone well, or, somebody doesn't know, where all the Milton's locations are or something like that. And it's just like, a couple of years ago, it would have been freaking, it would have been Kill Bill. I mean, that studio just would have been covered in blood. And the fact that he just kind of lets it go on. And then, so I think it was, Andrew did something the other day that he didn't like, but then 3 minutes later, it's like, oh, he's doing a great job, whatever, he's fine.
He's trying. Yeah.
I mean, you could tell he's trying to hold it together. I think he might have almost broken on Sunday night, but I think he hung in there. But one thing that's interesting is you noticed, you guys, that he did mention that the show is going to go to 3 days a week at this point.
Yes. So this was another criticism of the Steve from Providence and the OGs. Like he gets really mad at those guys. That rant that we just heard was Steve from Providence saying on one of the OG shows that, yes, he's not doing 4-hour shows. He's going to 3 days a week. He's criticizing him for that. And then Kirk talks about, he just did the VFW live show. This is coming off of that with Carabas in Florence, Mass. And that's where Steve walked the 90 miles. And that literally got him no goodwill. He said one bad thing on a YouTube show and Kirk fucking buries him. Go ahead.
If I could make one point on that too. What's interesting is at the beginning, Kirk says, all right, the one rule is you got to listen to the show. He got on BA for not listening to the show and then criticizing. Yeah. Steve from Providence, 10 minutes later, is complaining that we don't have enough show. Yeah. And obviously does listen. And Kirk just flies off the handle. So, I mean,
it's a great point.
A little inconsistent there. Not going to call it out. Maybe I just did. But, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. We're getting... And this one is, so this is the era of I think because of like the fans' criticism, he doesn't take phone calls this episode. It's only 50 minutes. So like there isn't a lot to this episode. Like this isn't going to be one of our longer Quantum Kirks because the episode itself is only 50 minutes. So I think we just heard like a lot of it. But Mick, since this is your pick, is there anything that we missed? Is there anything that you kind of want to point out that you like to pinpoint here?
I think we hit the main parts of the episodes. They talk about some stories at the very end, but that's not really relevant to what we're talking about. I think the biggest thing with the episode is just the tone of it, kind of what we're saying, how serious it all was at the time. Like the doxing threats, the when he's screaming cunt 12 times and his voice is cracking, there's no hyperbole there. He's being completely himself. Like, I just think that the show in general was a lot more intense at the time. And I don't know if it's a good thing that it's relaxed a little bit, but I do think it's probably a little healthier for him. And, I think the stress level's gone down a little bit, at least from what it seems like. And so I just feel like the biggest difference between now and you listen to a show like this is just the intensity and how stressful it all was for a little while there.
Yeah. So I do want to point out a couple of small tidbits before we go that I caught, and then, maybe you guys can touch on it and then we'll go from there. I hear Mikey Fowler's name mentioned. Okay. So Mikey Fowler's a big Minifan. He was the head of I want to say podcasting at Barstool, where he would listen to all the podcasts, make sure everything was coordinated. He was a big Minifan. He was the one guy in the office, I think at the time, that literally was, had Kirk's back on a lot of stuff. And he mentions his name, maybe for the first time. I don't know, because they kind of were blah, blah, blah. And he wants to know if there's a way that they can block people from listening.
Yeah.
So Kirk was so mad. Kirk was so mad that he wanted to know if there's a way that Barstool back end, if he could give people's like IP address and like say block BA from listening, block John from Scranton from listening, block Steve from Providence from listening. I mean, do you imagine how mad you have to be to contemplate like, all right, because he's yelling unsubscribe, but that's not good enough for Kirk. He wants to know if there's a physical way that he can stop these people from listening to his show.
I think in this episode he tells Steve to call Erica to ask that exact question, and they don't get through to her this time. But yeah, they do. They call the CEO of the company to find out if they can block BA from listening to the podcast. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So that absolutely caught my attention. I was fucking cracking up over that. Just the thought of that, like, hey, like I don't want this person to listen. But no, Kirk, like we like downloads. No. I don't want these people listening.
No, like we need to make sure he can't access this on any platform at all. Okay.
On any platform. Yeah. How can we do that? There's no way, sir, that we can stop people from listening. And then the other one that really caught my attention. So, and this is the tone, maybe the tone of the show too, guys, is different because the case has just started. They're investigating the case at this point. I don't know if you guys caught that. They're into it. Nothing's been released. This is at the point in time where they would have like inside jokes or inside statements between Steve and Kirk talking about the case where like none of us knew what the fuck they were talking about. And there was one Justin nugget in particular that I don't know if you guys caught. Let's play. Do we want to play the Justin phone call, Mick? Do you have that?
So I don't have the phone call. I just have him firing him. Basically like just him saying Justin's fired if he doesn't answer right now. I don't have him actually answering it.
That's all right. Play that. And then that'll go into what the nugget that I heard.
Okay.
I mean, it gets under my goats, but like it really is just that. I listening to that Mintel Incel show, which I don't know. Why were they back?
That wasn't really clear to me.
Okay, who gave him permission to do that?
I think Justin just put him on.
Why?
I didn't know that they were going to be doing it.
I mean, like I always said, they could come back, but I mean, shouldn't that be cleared through us?
Well, I guess if you said on the show that they could come back.
Well, I mean, okay, Justin's fired. Like I've had enough. He's fired.
Okay.
Can you just tell him he's fired, please?
Right.
Like I've really had enough. He sucks at his job. What does he do well?
Yeah, I just have him firing him here. I don't have the actual call, but
that's okay. So Danny, go ahead. I saw you make a statement, Danny. I know you want to do this. Go ahead.
I love it because I always saw Steve as an accountability guy, but he just throws Justin right under the bus.
Right under the bus.
Under the bus and then backs it back over him, and he's like, "Yep, I don't know, I had nothing to do with it." Justin gave him the keys to the channel. I had nothing to do with it.
So Mick, you always say when you go in there that your interns, if they fuck up, the buck would stop with you. So you wouldn't do that, Mick, right?
No. I'm glad you just said that. That's a great example, David. That is a great example where the buck stops with the producer, the head producer of the show. If Justin works for you, Steve, then that's the, what I mean? I feel like that's where it goes, the chain of command.
Yeah, I saw Steve ran away from that. You saw Steve's head turning. He stopped for a second on that clip and thought about it and almost wanted to take blame himself. And then he goes, nah, fuck that.
He's like,
this guy's in a mood today. It was Justin. Yeah, it was Justin. All right, so my deep cut is, all right, so Danny, did you listen to the case? Were you a case season 1? Mick, I know you did as well, right? So do we remember Diana Natali?
Yes.
The lady, the
crazy mom,
lady.
Right? Yeah.
The crazy mom. Now, do you remember what she was arrested for that they ended up finding out in the course of their investigation?
Was it she had the kid in the basement, the disabled kid?
She had the disabled kid in the basement. So there's a deep cut in here. So this is before the case is released when he's talking about Justin. And when Justin, the phone call, Mick, where Justin goes, Danny, what did he say?
I'm cleaning my basement.
I'm cleaning my basement.
He was cleaning his basement.
Yeah. I was cleaning my basement.
That's why his phone didn't ring.
That's why his phone didn't ring. And Kirk goes, well, we just dealing with someone else who has other people in a basement. Maybe Justin can end up down there. He has the same mental capabilities.
Good catch, David. Great catch.
And then Steve goes, oh, that's a deep cut where only me and you are going to know it.
Oh, it's a great catch, David.
Yeah. Great. So that's why I died laughing at that because I finally, now re-listening, I got that joke. Whereas before the case wasn't out, I would have never understood what they were talking about.
I actually kind of remember at the time being like, what the hell are they talking about? And
talking about, So that's so Danny. That's why
that's good.
Yeah, that's Danny. That's why that basement comment, and then Kirk literally says it the line after that. So if you're gonna go re-listen, that's a really fun because Steve laughed his ass off when Kirk said it. Steve was fucking dying laughing.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Actually, Mick,
good
that's
catch,
my bad.
David.
I wish I would have had you clip that, but I didn't.
No, that's all right.
think,
Yeah, that's all right.
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
all
go
right.
back and listen to it though to hear Steve's reaction because I'm sure it's great.
Yeah. So yeah, if everyone listen, this is a 50-minute episode, guys. It's not going to take a lot to re-listen. So definitely go back and listen to it. If you like hateful Kirk Minahan, this is the episode for you. If you like Kirk hating John from Scranton and BA and Steve from Providence, and this is the only time. One last thing before we go. I don't ever remember Kirk criticizing Tim from Canton. He goes at Tim from Canton a little in this episode. Did you guys catch that, Danny?
Bad phone connection, and what was the other? He said something. Like that.
He says, make sure your phone's better when you call in, dumbass, or something like that. He says he gives him a little heat. Yeah.
He gives him a little heat, and that's how mad he was. That Tim and Canton caught some fucking shrapnel.
Exactly.
All right, the number one Minute fan.
He's pissed then. Dave, I do have one last thing.
Go ahead.
So
actually
the reason for the name of this episode, right? Nardini slanders Minahan.
Yeah.
Did anybody catch it was the David Lee Roth
versus
Sammy Hagar?
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. And you're right, it was a stupid name for the episode. I mean, it's a funny bit, but it's 3 minutes of this entire thing.
It's literally at the last 7 minutes of the episode. That's it. Yeah.
And a little preview of Portland there, where he fires up and he's talking about love, sings along. Which, by the way, in Portland, Kirk high-fived me during his performance. No big deal.
Hey.
Haven't washed my hands since.
Yep, no big deal.
Pretty cool. So that was pretty good though, because Nardini calls him a Hagar fan, and Kirk just goes off.
He loses it. Yeah, he loses it.
Hagar's adult contemporary. I mean, David Lee Roth is the tight pants, big dick cruising for a party.
Yeah.
You can't fuck that up, Erica.
Yep. So that is how they end the episode. Mick, thank you so much for taking time out. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks,
I'll see you in
guys.
Saco. I'll see you in Saco on Saturday.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
And hey, no problem. And Mick, I will say this before we go. You've caught a lot of shit. I give you a lot of shit. You give me a lot of shit. In the end, it is all in good fun. And I will say, I thought you'd have quit by now. So I do agree with Danny. You've your mental strength. You've surpassed quite a few people on this list. You buried Tommy Quinlan. You absolutely buried. You did. You buried Tommy Quinlan's been talking about Bruce Arena now for 3 weeks ever since he ran into the mixter. Okay,
poor
so
Tommy.
I will. Tommy's out here.
I'll take that body.
That's a kill. And either way, whatever happens, Mick, I think what most of the Minute fans, if I can give you something, what has annoyed a lot of the Minute fans about you is don't go away. You actually do have a spot in this world. Keep churning out like something. Either it's on the YouTube network, and honestly, dude, I think you even if you don't get this producer gig, you'll eventually be like called in to be a third chair once every couple of months. Like you're a character now. So I think the worst instinct you could do, Mick, is to go away. So I think what a lot of people would want to tell you is just if you don't get it, don't go away. Don't go away. Stay in the world.
I appreciate it, dude. I do appreciate it. I know it all is in good fun. Like everybody, we all give each other shit and stuff. I will say, if I don't get the job, you won't have to worry about me going away. I feel somewhat like rejuvenated, just going back on the air a little bit. Like it's fun to put out content again. I'm having fun with it again. So if I don't get the job, you'll probably see some Beyond Average. You'll definitely see me interacting with KMS. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Well, listen, we'll see you. Good luck on Thursday, and I'll see you Saturday. And Danny, I'll see you in a few minutes for our doubleheader episode.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Mick.
All right.
See you, man.
All right. Take care.
Talk to you guys. Bye-bye.